Okay, thank you so much. Over to you, Fariha.
Thank you. So tell us about your new book.
Yes. The new book, it's my fifth book. It's called Betrayal. It's hitting stores in Pakistan. I think well, perhaps it may already have hit stores. I know it's back from the printers, but it will certainly be available in the next few days or so. It's something different to what I've done previously. As Talat had pointed out earlier, my first three books were based a lot on either my own experiences or the experiences of a lot of my colleagues. So they were kind of, police thrillers and based in Karachi, where in fact the city of Karachi itself was a character in those novels. My fourth one was different. It was about match fixing and women's cricket, which I thought were very, very fascinating themes. And again, I've chosen to do something different here as well. So this book is a spy thriller. It starts off with a mole hunt or the hunt for a spy within the intelligence establishment in Pakistan. And I just thought that, a lot of times I gain my inspiration for writing stuff from stories in the news or something I'll see on TV or in a movie or even, the lyrics of a song. The sort of kind of conditions that we've had, I thought it was a great opportunity, especially when you look at sort of local geopolitical scenarios that we have in South Asia, to try and create something that was very sort of spy noirish, circa the 60s and 70s, sort of classic Frederick Forsyth, John le Carre. Obviously, those writers were written in the context of the Cold War. But, in my opinion, there was a lot of material there to sort of develop in a regional Cold War context. And one could, I hope that I have tried to, in Betrayal, portray that, this sort of spying as a very professional sort of business where two sets of professionals on either sides of the border trying to get one up on each other, irrespective of ideology or any other jingoistic inclinations. So that's what it's about. It's one of the things that we are doing is that, of course, it's being released in Pakistan right now, and in another couple of weeks, we're going to be publishing it online. So it will be available as an ebook on all the major apps like Kindle or Google Play or Apple iBooks. And I felt in concert with the publishers, I felt that was very important because especially with regards to the pandemic, the way that we are processing and getting the stuff we read has changed. In the past, there were a lot of expats who would come home, Talat will bear me out perhaps, and pick up copies of my book, whenever they were home in December or in the summer holidays. And obviously, post-pandemic or right now in the world we're living in, that's not going to happen as frequently as it did in the past.
Right.
And so it's very important to make the book available in a kind of e-format to people who are not able to pick up a hard copy from Pakistan.
Fantastic. So building on to that, I think the final question from my side is, how is because you mentioned about, technology, even how sort of you're publishing your book. So in fact, this show is also quite interesting. Talat is based in Dubai, we're here. So, we do it like that. So tell us, how is the information technology affecting us? And are there any tips? Because it's a millennial country, right? And how we are leveraging Twitter technology. Is it for our self-development, self-projection, or just share opinions and judgments? So what are your thoughts?
I've thought about this, and I think this pandemic, I thought about this even before the pandemic, but this pandemic in particular has, I think, perhaps given all of us pause to think about things like this, because we find that in our daily lives, increasingly, we are online, we turn to social media, or things like Zoom meetings and all a lot more. And my only, of course, it has its benefits, and of course, it has meant that work and school and things like that have kept going during this past 18 odd months. My only sort of question on that is that we are supposed to have the symbiotic relationship with technology, right? Technology is supposed to be the great equalizer, and you can sit anywhere in the world and work, and etc., etc. And that's true, and we have, perhaps our generation has seen that over the past 20 years. But it's also meant that the kind of explosion of technology, the explosion of social media in particular, has meant that we are now used to receiving our inputs from channels or mediums who sound like us, who look like us. That whole concept of receiving a contrarian view is going down, because we're increasing. If you're on social media, your Twitter feed or your Instagram feed will be looking at the things that the sorts of people and things that you want to look at, right? You'll not really go out of your way to challenge yourself and look at something that or look at someone or listen to someone that has a point of view that's completely opposite to yours. And we see that in the rise of increasingly sort of jingoistic and nationalistic stances everywhere. I mean, you see it in the developing world, you see it in the developed world, in places like the UK and the US, with the rise of Trump, with Brexit, things like that. So I do feel that, and I see this, I see my son, as he spent the last year and a half essentially attending school via Zoom. Or Google Classroom or whatever. And I do think that there's a degree of innocence and there's a degree of striving for knowledge that I think we're all losing. I don't think that it's a great idea, for instance, no matter how productive it may be, for us to have kids sitting in front of a screen for 9 hours or 10 hours. Similarly, I don't think it's a great idea for us to kind of go into these sorts of silos and only listen to the voices of those people who agree with us.
Right.
And I think as a global society, we will probably lose something, lose a bit, without some meaning to sound overly dramatic, but I do think we'll lose a bit of our soul over time.
Thank you. So thank you. That's it from my side, Talat.
Absolutely. So, Omar, it's been absolutely fantastic to have you on our show. I know you spoke about technology and ebooks and Kindle, and I've got a Kindle that's been in my drawer for the last 10 years, and I've never used it because I just can't get over. I'm still old-fashioned. I guess maybe I'm too old to get into reading on screens, but at work I do it all day. But there's no way. Magazines and books, I have to feel them, I have to read them, I have to touch paper. And
I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, and that's it. There are a lot of people like that, but we're a dying race, right?
Yes,
I think
we
more
are.
and more people.
Unfortunately, we are.
Unfortunately, we are. And so, you see the bookstores closing down, which is really sad. It just really saddens me. And I'm like, God, thank God I'll be dead long before all the bookstores in the world are closed down. So, you're a fantastic writer. I've enjoyed reading your books. I'm very excited about really getting into betrayal. I really enjoy that. And, best of luck with everything. Thank you so much once again for being on the other side with Fariha and Talat. Anything you'd like to say in parting?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.